What's up, guys? My name is Miles.
And my name is Fez.
And this is The Commodity. And today we are reacting to Geography Now, Philippines.
So I had been reading in the last video that we did that had to do with how Southeast Asians kind of see each other. Mm-hmm. And since it actually touches on more than just Malaysia, Indonesia, and Singapore, it hits like Vietnam, the Philippines, Brunei,
I think so.
and maybe another one, or Thailand. And so there were a few Filipinos that were like, can you do some reactions to the Philippines? And I was like, absolutely we can.
We've tried. They haven't done very well, but we still are very interested in the country.
Yeah, so. I absolutely, I hate to admit it. So like I said before in the last video, if you haven't seen it, we're going to go ahead and link it up here, how Southeast Asians view each other. I have dated two Filipino girls, and to say the least, they were crazy. They were almost as crazy as Mexican women. We had partied one night and we got a little drunk, and one of the girls that I was dating, I didn't date them at the same time, but the first one that I was dating, her name was Winter, by the way. I love that name.
Okay.
But I'm not saying her last name because, to be honest, I don't remember it. This has been years ago. I just remember that because it was such a unique name. And so we had gotten a little drunk. We'd gotten into a little bit of a verbal scuffle. I don't think it was even worth talking about, like arguing about. And she got mad, and she didn't punch me. I would have rather her punched me, because trying to tell my landlord what had happened to the window that she put her fist through, and some magic way she didn't even cut herself. Bam! I was like, we dated for like 6 more months after that.
Yeah, well.
Because I was afraid to break up.
Well, I'm ready to hop into this. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Check it out. Geography Now, Philippines.
If you don't know anything about Asia, the Philippines is like the jolliest of them all. They're just happy, fun, jolly people. And
you know what? It's been 3 years. I'm not taking this anymore. I've been pushed around, I've been threatened, I've been thrown in the dungeon, I've been the butt of all the jokes. I'm the Filipino one. This is my time.
My time!
Ah!
I enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the Philippines. My turn.
okay.
It's time to learn.
These guys make some great videos.
Yeah, I think I don't know if they're backed by a bigger company, because the editing is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, at first, the intro kind of started making me think of The Big Bang Theory, the movie, the TV show, sorry.
No! Hey everyone, I'm Ken, and as you know, I'm half Filipino. Years ago, I was looking for a job and I saw this ad asking for a motion graphics animator on Craigslist. Paul and I literally met up at a Jollibee for my interview. He said I was his top 3 candidates.
In reality, there were only 3 candidates that applied, so technically I didn't lie. But yeah, the other 2 people kind of sucked, so yeah.
Oh, and back then, I had this weird mustache.
Oh,
and
so
Paul's
they're
hair
the
was basically this.
two
Ken and I have been
creators.
talking for a long time, and we agreed
Yes.
Ken definitely has to be in this episode. You've come so far from that Craigslist Jollibee interview. You've earned this.
Thanks. Handa na? Magsimula.
I can't wait till we can
Philippines is
actually
an
employ
interesting
some
country
people.
because there's sort of a dichotomy
Like
between
translators
If you
and
ask
stuff
a
like that.
Filipino if they consider themselves Asian or Pacific Islanders, you might get contrasting answers.
What do you consider yourself, Ken?
I always thought Pacific Islanders sounded kind of cool, so I usually stuck with that. So
Does
first
sound
of all,
The Philippines is a tropical archipelago of over 7,000 islands, about 2,000
does.
of which are inhabited.
I didn't know that they had that many islands.
Okay, I'll be honest, I don't remember looking at the map at the Philippines, so
And only 2,000 are inhabited.
wow. Wait,
But they could also be counting islands like Indonesia does that sometimes aren't showing. And sometimes
and
are
low
due to
tide
the
it
low tide,
shows,
high
and the
tide.
high tide, yeah. And I think they also count islands that are literally like you couldn't even fit a house on it.
Yeah.
And it is the largest island nation without any land borders or shared island territory with another nation.
the country is located in Southeast Asia, straddling the Philippine Sea in the north, the South China Sea in the west, and the Sulu and Celebes Sea in the south.
Just to skip away.
So we have the Philippine Sea, the South China Sea, the Sulu Sea, Celebes Sea. I wonder if that's purpose. So I'm just going to be upfront and honest. I'm going to call these oceans. Like whenever we talk about it, because it's salt water, and the sea is attached to oceans. So whenever we do the same for Indonesia. whenever we're like talking about being close to the ocean.
Yeah.
So just because, I mean, it's just easier.
Yeah.
And I'm lazy, so we're gonna call it the ocean.
Away lies the island of Borneo, which is split amongst 3 nations. At the closest point, only about 22 miles or 40 kilometers away from the nearest island that belongs to the Philippines.
Now, in general, many people will refer
Really?
to one of the 3 main island cluster regions that people are a part of. There are Luzon in the north, where you can find the capital Manila, and where half of the population lives, Visayas in the center, and Mindanao in the south.
Otherwise, the
So half of the population lives.
In Luzon.
Yes.
nation is made up of 17 regions, one of which is autonomous, the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao. This place has a high level of self-rule and autonomy appointed by the government. We'll explain more about this later.
If you want to be absolutely technical, Quezon City, a bit north of Manila, is the largest city in the Philippines. However, the surrounding 16 towns and cities by Manila are called Manila Metro, or the National Capital Region, and they basically act as one unit.
Otherwise, the largest city outside of the NCR.
It's just like Dallas Fort Worth.
Yeah, DFW.
So you have Dallas is the major city. Then you have Fort Worth, which is kind of a sister city. That's why they call it kind of DFW. And then you have the Metroplex or the metropolitan area, but we call it the Metroplex because you literally have probably like 50 towns that surround it that make, but we kind of claim everybody as a town. Like if you say Dallas or Fort Worth or DFW or the DFW, it is literally the whole entire area, which is,
because we tell people we live in Dallas, but we are outside of Dallas.
Yeah, but we're in Dallas County technically.
Yeah.
But so we're 24,000 square kilometers or something like that, some crazy number. And then we have like 8.5 million people that live within that area.
Yeah.
So
are Davao City in Mindanao and Cebu in the Visayas.
Manila has the largest and busiest airport, NINOY AQUINO
beach.
International Airport, which is basically the hub
That
that,
was a
services
beautiful
the
beach.
entire
Yeah.
NCR. They also have the busiest shipping port at the Port of Manila.
Otherwise, the second largest airport is Cebu Mactan International, and rounding out for third place is Davao City Francisco Bangoy International.
In terms of land transport, though, the Philippines is well connected amongst the islands. In fact, the longest highway is the Pan-Philippine Highway that stretches about 3,500 kilometers across the country
Oh, wow.
and connects Luzon,
That's
Samar,
dope.
Liet, and Mindanao with underground tunnels connecting them.
Finally, the
So I do have a question now. So in the U.S., and I'm sure a lot of people have heard about it, it's called the gumball. It's driving from, I believe it's from like New York down to South California, SoCal, if you want to know the abbreviation. And they try to see how fast they can possibly go from point A to point B. That's including driving fast and possibly getting pulled over. Typically, you have scouts that drive ahead of you to watch out, and then they also kind of have people riding behind them to check to see if there's any cops kind of coming up on them behind, which has been broken a couple times more recently because of COVID, and the highways were much dead. Like, this seems like it would be perfect for a gumball run. Mm-hmm. I would do that.
Yeah.
I wonder how long that trip is. I'm sure they'll tell us if they haven't already.
The Philippines has only 2 territorial disputes. The state of Sabah in Malaysia on North Borneo. The territory once had been part of the Sultanate of Sulu, a Muslim state that existed the 15th century to the 20th century, and that's a whole other story.
As for the other dispute, as we mentioned quite a few times already, this whole area known as the Spratly Islands is a complete mess. If you don't know anything about this place, it basically goes like this.
Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. This is the map showing what everyone claims in the area. This
Oh,
big
wow.
one right here is China's. Like, yeah, they just kind of pretty much went for all of it.
This has even led to a few skirmishes between nations that have built patrol stations on the islands, and when they spot a ship that gets too close, things can get kind of ugly.
It's kind of like this.
Hey, what are you
Wow.
doing? This is my area.
I'm just doing some fishing and
That dude's
research.
jacked.
here, you know?
Why do you have a shovel then? Are you building something? Or?
Well, technically, there's no land protruding from this reef, so there's no land claim.
So you're just gonna build your own land.
For research.
Anyway, here are some notable spots of interest.
Fort Santiago,
Magellan's Cross,
San Agustin Church,
Sagada Hanging
Okay, so I am curious about those islands. Is there actually any benefit to having them? Is it habitable, or is it more for situations like if there was another World War type situation where, like, when Japan started taking over different islands to protect, kind of steps to get to mainland Japan?
Yeah.
Just curious if there's
Hanging
any actual.
coffins.
That is
That's different.
creepy. Ugh. My main thing would be rain and juices.
In coffins.
Aguinaldo Shrine.
Cebu's Philippine
Oh
Taoist
wow,
Temple.
that's
Shrine of
dope.
Mama Mary in Tagaytay.
The Lapu-Lapu Shrine.
Luneta Park.
MacArthur Landing Site.
Bunawi Rice Terraces.
The Malacanang Palace.
Vigan has many historical and colonial buildings.
The various national museums of history and arts.
Tons of amusement park.
Look at that
buildings.
The
tunnel.
various national museums of history and arts.
Tons.
Look at that tunnel.
Oh,
that is
what?
dope.
We gotta go there.
Because we've got tunnels like that in our aquarium type places, but they're not like that clear.
You got an aquarium that big?
The Dallas World Aquarium, yes.
Oh, okay. I was like,
but they're not that.
Is
clear.
it that big?
It's probably that wide, but it's not that clear. Like you can't really see through it like that.
That's insane.
Tons of amusement park.
And that's not even including all the natural wonders of the Philippines. They have an underground river.
That's
the most
beautiful.
amazing, beautiful beaches in the universe.
Hills that look like lumps of
That's Photoshop.
Chocolate
There's no way
hills.
that's not. That looks like somebody that rendered like, oh, this could be a planet that's over in 70 million light years away that we could inhabit if we could figure out light speed travel.
I don't know. He's including
Which is
it in here.
impossible.
He's included it, so it's got to be real.
Chocolate hills.
chocolate.
And there's an island in a lake, in an island, in a lake, in an island.
Huh. We should hang out sometime.
Yeah, when you have 7,000 tropical islands on a volcanic archipelago, chances are things can get pretty crazy landscape-wise. Which brings us to... The actual physical land of the Philippines is the biggest treasure you will find here for sure. Anyway, the Philippines lies on the Ring of Fire and is specifically on a tectonic plate named after them, the Philippine Plate.
And about 95% of the land is made up of the 11 largest islands.
The country was essentially formed through the tectonic activity between the Philippine, Manila, and the Mindanao Trenches, the Mindanao being the second deepest in the world.
This
Oh
makes
wow!
the country
I didn't know that.
susceptible to small earthquakes and minor volcanic activity.
About 53 active volcanoes can be found in all of these largest islands, except for Palawan. The most famous and picturesque of these include these three.
See this island here, Camiguin? It actually has more volcanoes than towns on it. 7 versus 5, making it the place with the most number of volcanoes per square kilometer in the world.
In fact, the tallest peak in the Philippines is a potentially active volcano, Mount Apo, located in the South Mindanao area.
The country has numerous mountain ranges and highlands that dip into the fertile valleys, the largest range being the Cordillera Range in the North Luzon area, hooking into the Sierra Madre Range on the east side, which feeds the longest river of the country, the Cagayan, that flows into the Cagayan Valley.
This valley, along with the Central Luzon Valley, are the largest.
You know, that's super trippy that like Indonesia and the Philippines, they have so many volcanoes.
Yeah.
Like,
And none of them are like going ham, just going crazy.
yeah,
just-
they're just chilling.
which is terrifying. That means that eventually they're going to be going crazy.
Herbal croplands and produce nearly all of the rice in the Philippines.
The Visayas are known for growing the most sugarcane, whereas Mindanao specializes heavy in coconut and fruit production.
Back in Luzon, though, you can find the largest lake in the country, Lake Laguna DABAI, which is actually in the caldera of a dormant volcano.
The lake has a weird detached island called Talim and is actually drained by the Pasig River that flows through the capital, Manila.
And finally, the country is the heart of typhoon territory. They can come at almost any
that
time of the
sucks.
year. The nation will experience on average about 20 of the turbulent storms annually, which often flood to their many river systems.
Wow.
But yeah, if anything, Filipinos are the most cyclone adapted people on
Wow.
Earth. They're used to it. The water has always been kind of their thing. Swimming,
So they're used to
sailing,
it.
fishing.
Just not exactly quite diving into it.
Otherwise, the Philippines is one of the 17 mega diverse
That's me
nations
diving.
on Earth.
They actually have the
Not
largest
even.
level of marine biodiversity
That's
in the world
beautiful.
within their
Yeah.
waters and the highest rate of animal discovery on the planet, with 16 new mammal species that were discovered in the past decade alone.
They have everything from
The longest snake in the world, the reticulated python.
the
With it
largest
being
fish in
such
the
a
world, whale sharks.
tiny
7 of
place,
the 8 known
and they
species
found
of
that
giant
many new
clam are found in the
species.
Philippines.
The world's smallest hoofed animal, the Philippine mouse deer.
And their national bird is the largest eagle in the world.
Economically speaking, the Philippines is considered a newly industrialized nation. It is transitioning out of becoming an agricultural-based system to a service and manufacturing-based one. They have like 3 of the top 10 largest malls on Earth.
Ooh, just you wait. I'm taking the top spot soon.
They're one of the fastest growing economies in Asia, and as the 34th largest economy in the world, their GDP purchasing power parity has surpassed the $2 trillion mark.
Basically, the Philippines is definitely becoming a key power player in the world stage. It's like,
Sounds like it.
We're so rich!
Wealth and prosperity.
someday. For what it's worth though, mining, fishing, and agriculture are strong industries as well. They are currently the world's largest nickel and abaca or Manila hemp producers, and the second largest coconut producer after Indonesia.
Tourism though, is another important industry, taking up about 8% of their GDP, employing over 3 million people.
And now,
When I think about coconuts, I don't think about Indonesia or Philippines.
I don't think about Asia.
I don't either.
When I think coconuts, California, Hawaii, that's about it. All
Yeah.
honesty, if I'm being real, I don't. Maybe Australia, maybe, but I don't think Asia.
I just think Tom Hanks.
Oh, just some islands. Like, I don't know where those islands are supposed to be. Island was supposed
now
to
in
be
the
at.
What if that
Philippines,
was
every
out there?
region has their
That would've
own
been funny.
specialty and culinary strange.
Yeah, every dish looks like a fairy.
He would have seen more land. Oh my
Lots of
gosh.
dishes you could eat kumakain kamay, or eat with your hands.
Yeah, pretty much everything has rice, and then you're gonna get a lot of grease and salt and vinegar and a lot of like, I don't care if that looks like it goes there or not, I'm still gonna eat it anyway. Right, Ken?
Yeah, that's Filipino food.
Yeah.
There's really no official national dish, but three meals that are well known for are adobo, lumpia, and sinigang.
And in the
Which all
non-Muslim
looked
part,
amazing.
lechon is a huge deal.
There are also dishes like
Tagalog steak,
tinola,
pansit luglug,
kare-kare,
sigstig,
tapsilog,
balut.
kinilaw.
Ew.
And
That one
my
I can-
favorite Filipino dish, palabok. Just put some nice little lemon juice on it. I actually got this at Jollibee. If you don't know what Jollibee is, it's like the most popular fast food chain in the Philippines. It's like if McDonald's and KFC adopted a Filipino baby, and they even added spaghetti to their menu for some.
Oh, wow. And that shrimp looks good. I think that's rice noodles with it.
I think I would still be a little worrisome about buying fast food shrimp.
I
That's
buy
how
it
I am
from
here in the
Popeyes
US.
and stuff. It doesn't bother me. I buy it from like Popeyes and things like that.
That's true, I guess. Actually, I take that back.
Yeah.
Some reason.
Otherwise, Filipinos are dessert experts. They love their ube everything, ube ice cream, ube bread, ube pie,
Never had ube.
cakes.
I haven't
Well,
either.
they also have like
I've never heard of it.
and cassava cakes. Those are the best desserts in my
I've heard of
opinion.
ube.
They also have halo-halo,
Cassava
leche
cake
flan,
looks good.
turon, buko,
See, they have
pandan,
flan too.
and
That's so
puto.
weird.
What you call me? If you're either Latin American or Spanish, you may notice some of those foods are also found in Latin cuisines, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah, we'll explain that in. Now, only in the Philippines can you find people that have Spanish names, speak English, celebrate an Austronesian culture, and cook Chinese.
General MacArthur once said, "Give me 1,000 Filipino soldiers and I will conquer the world."
Yeah, for some reason, Filipinos are like the best friends of Asia. Filipinos still have the best attitudes and smiles. They even give time off felony sentences if the prisoners volunteer to take part
I've
in a
seen
Michael
these
Jackson dance
videos. These are
performance in public.
phenomenal. Have you seen their?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, they do like the Michael. Yeah, they're doing Thriller right there.
That's what you just said. They get time off of their
Yeah.
sentences if they dance.
Because they have to work together and learn to listen and follow instruction and kind of develop as people in general.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like we're seeing that you have the ability to be,
like you're growing
yeah,
as a person.
normalized,
Yeah.
back to civilization. So these videos are awesome. We might have to take a look at this.
Yeah, that's cool.
Public.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves. First, the graph. The country has about 110 million people and is the 8th most populated country in Asia and the 12th most populated country in the world.
There are about 175 ethno-linguistic people groups in the Philippines, the majority of whose languages are Austronesian.
Of these groups, the largest ones are the
Austronesian.
Tagalog at about 28%, 13% are Cebuano, 9% are Ilocano, and 8% are Bisaya. The rest are made up of other groups plus a small minority
I've never heard of any of these.
Yeah.
Okay.
of non-native citizens, mostly Asians and Americans.
It's important to note, though, that the Philippines has about 10.2 million people overseas worldwide. It is one of the largest diaspora populations, spanning over 100 countries. The US alone has about 4 million.
I mean, they were at one point colonized by the US, so go figure.
They use the Filipino
Huh.
peso
I
as the
didn't know
currency,
that.
they
Yeah, I
use text
didn't know
A,
that.
B, and C plug outlets, and they drive on the right side of the road.
Oh, and keep in mind the word Pinoy
right
is
side.
synonymous with something that is Filipino. You might see that used a lot.
Now back to the ethnic groups thing. Since there are over 175 of them, you would think, how do they all communicate?
Well, the Philippines has two official languages. English, which makes them the 5th most English-speaking nation on earth, and Filipino, which is the
Hmm. didn't know
standardized
that.
version of Tagalog. The Philippine Tagalog language spoken today is a very different from pure Tagalog. It actually has about 14% Spanish, 10%
Oh, wow.
Malay, and 7% English mixed into it with a slew of other borrowed loanwords. You can see the influence in words like pintalador, guapo, zapatos, and familia. Often,
It's very
Filipinos
Spanish.
will substitute
Yeah.
an F with a P.
Or a V with a B.
Or a V with a B.
Yeah, same with Koreans, actually. Yeah. High five with minimal consonants.
Yay!
Oh, and fun fact, Ken taught me this. In Tagalog, you can actually say an entire conversation just using the syllable ba. For example,
Ba, ba ba, ba ba, ba ba ba, ba 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 ba, ba, ba 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 ba, ba ba,
ba, ba 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 ba.
ba ba ba.
Well, that was fun. Otherwise, in the Visayas and Mindanao area, Cebuano is
How
a
would
common
you
language, as well as the other regional
understand that?
tongues like Waray and Dabaai.
It's kind of
They
like
have the only Spanish-based
mañana.
Creole in Asia, Chavacano, located in
So in Spanish, mañana means tomorrow, and then mañana also means in the morning. So it's all about situation. What's the word I'm looking for? It's all about the words that surround it. Like you
Right.
know, okay, like hasta mañana. That just means I'm gonna see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
Zamboanga
Context.
City. Now, the
Yeah.
Philippines is unique in that over a past few centuries, they've gone through 3 periods that shape their identity.
Before European intervention, the Philippines has had a multitude of early civilizations that built kingdoms and dynasties like the Tondo, the Namayan, the Pangasinan, and the Sulu Sultanate.
Many of these kingdoms had their own indigenous writing system, such as the Babayan, Buhid, Eskaya,
Wow.
and Kulitan.
Genetically, Filipinos are classified as belonging to the broader Austronesian people group, with their closest cousins being the Micronesians, like the Mariana Islanders, Guam, and Palau.
Although over the years, many
was some
people
cool
have
face
mixed,
paint.
and today it is speculated that somewhere around 1/5 or more of the population may have some kind of Chinese ancestry. After the Spanish came in, they
That makes
adopted
sense.
many of
Yeah.
the customs, traditions, and cultural traits which have Spanish roots. Their own countries named after Spanish King Philip. The biggest trait, though, would be the fact that they are predominantly
I didn't know that.
Catholic, at about 81% of the population adhering to the faith.
The rest are mostly
81%
Protestant, with a
Catholic.
small Muslim minority in the South Mindanao area.
The Philippines is the largest Christian nation in Asia.
it seems crazy to think that they're so close. It's crazy how like heavily concentrated these countries are with religions, but they're completely different religions. Like India, China, Malaysia, Indonesia. So you got Hindi, Buddhist, and then you've got Islam, and then over here you got Christianity. Like here in Canada, you have Christianity. In the U.S., you have Christianity. In Mexico, you have Christianity.
Right.
And it's all probably roughly the same, like, different, like, distances, really. But it's all Christianity.
Right.
Is the majority, not necessarily the requirement. All 3 of these countries are freedom of religion, so you can literally practice whatever you want.
Yeah, just the majority is Christianity.
Yeah, and the world population, Christianity is the most common
Yeah.
religion. That, and then I think number 2 is like no religion or something like that, or Muslim.
5th largest Christian nation on earth, and 3rd largest Catholic nation after Brazil and Mexico.
They have so many holidays and festivals devoted to Catholic themes like All Saints Day, Holy Week, and Easter, and of course,
Easter.
the
Yeah.
largest one, Christmas.
The Philippines has the
Christmas.
longest Christmas season out of anywhere else on earth.
Okay, so now we're just gonna rapid fire a list of 12 fun cultural facts for the Philippines.
Filipinos have a ton of superstitions. For example, whistling at night will turn you into a werewolf.
For formal occasions, you may see Filipinos wearing traditional barongs for men and Maria Clara or mestiza dresses for women.
There are many other traditional costumes and customs for the other 170 ethnic groups. Too many to cover, but it goes everywhere from feathers, coconut fibers, hair dresses, tribal tattoos, and so on.
Speaking of which, the Philippines dominates major international
have
beauty
2,
pageants with a
right?
grand total of 15 victories
Yeah.
at the Miss Universe, Miss
15.
World, Miss International, and Miss Earth competitions.
Wow.
Basketball and boxing are the most popular sport by far.
All right, I'll admit to why I find Filipino women or Filipinas so attractive. It's because they're thicker. As far as like the general population of all these different countries, Filipino girls or Filipinas, it's weird saying that, are typically a little bit thicker and have more meat on their bone.
You think so?
Yeah, 100%.
He seems skinny.
Yeah, I wonder what he is. I think he's South Korean or something. Oh, he doesn't look pure either. He looks like he's mixed as well.
are. They
Or
have the
100%
oldest
not
basketball
pure.
league in Asia and the second
pure.
oldest in the world after the United States. And come on, we all know Pacquiao.
The Philippines is the leading nation to train and export nurses abroad. It's been said at one point, every Filipino has their should I just drop everything and become a nurse moment in their life crisis.
That's a fact. I've had those. And the word balikbayan means returner or returning family. It is used when someone comes back from expat work abroad.
You might hear the honorific title of po or opo for elders, and a lot of people often raise the backs of the hands of their elders to their forehead as a sign of respect and say bless.
In the Philippines, you have your name and you have your Pinoy nickname, and they get really weird and creative. Pepsi, Bing Bong, Jelly Boy, Pinky, Bum Bum, and Earl.
Every Filipino
Earl.
on every island in every region can tell you Filipinos are obsessed with karaoke. The first karaoke machine was actually patented by a Filipino, Roberto del Rosario, even though some Japanese dude invented
fun
it, but
fact.
he patented it.
Obviously, that means music is a big deal in the Philippines. Besides taking modern cues from American pop, they also have traditional style. Instruments include things like gudyapi, gilitang, gimbal, kubing, and tongali.
In addition, there are many different styles of dance, but the most famous one considered the national dance is tinikling, a dance done between two pairs of perpendicular bamboo poles that are clapped together as percussion tools, and the dancers
I'd
must
fall.
weave their feet in and out in the spaces before getting hit or tripped.
Like
Now,
that.
on a bit of a more
Yeah.
objective note, we do have to talk about some of the controversies.
The Philippines is beautiful, but if you've been keeping up with current events, they do have their fair share of issues that have made headlines. We don't sugarcoat everything here.
Human trafficking, whether into the sex industry, slavery, or organ smuggling, has been a problem in certain areas. And even though
That's unfortunate.
anti-trafficking acts have been passed by the government, enforcement has not always been on par.
The drug trade has also been a major inconvenience for decades, affecting millions of
It's all about who has the money to pay. I mean, we have the same issue
yeah,
here.
there's trafficking everywhere.
Yeah, there's drug trafficking, sex trafficking. It's an issue, and it's because the cartels pay a lot better than the government does.
Yeah.
of people in the country. This has led to the new controversial laws instituted by President Duarte, which encouraged the public to seek bounty in exchange for hunting down drug pushers. Many have died in the process.
And finally, you have the Moro conflict, an insurgency in the predominantly Muslim Mindanao region, which sought to take parts of eastern Malaysia and break away through conflict. The fight has been going on for nearly half a century, and now it's just ending at the turn of the 21st century.
Kind of.
For what it's worth, though, in the Philippines, everyone is family at the end. You don't have to be related to anyone to call someone ate or kuya. There's even a word, bayanihan, which means something like helping one another through community spirit without expecting anything in return. In any case, we gotta finish off this segment with history.
Austronesians.
Tribal kingdoms and sultanates.
This guy came to the islands.
Catholicism comes in.
Lapu-Lapu and Magellan dies in battle.
5 Spanish dudes followed through.
They finally become a colony of Spain.
The galleon trade.
British Philippines.
And then back to Spain. The Treaty of Paris.
Philippine Revolution.
The Spanish-American War.
First Philippine Republic. Philippine-American War.
American occupation.
World War II, Japan invades.
American pushes them back.
Finally, Philippine independence.
Ferdinand Marcos turned from president to dictator.
Martial law.
This guy gets killed because he was against the regime.
People power revolution.
They've been through so much.
Yeah. Poor,
Oh my goodness.
1986.
poor
Growth
people.
from agricultural society to an industrial one.
And here we are today. And now we finish off with the notable famous people condensed. Some famous people you guys, the Pinoy geography suggested we mention in this episode include
Lapu-Lapu.
Jose Rizal, these two saints,
Melchora Aquino.
These
Manuel
two
L.
saints.
Quezon,
Lacan Dula. Josefa Yanes Escoda. And Vicente Lim.
Carlos Peña Romulo,
And all the
Carlos.
Miss Universe winners. And there's a ton of
Peña.
Americans with
Dave Bautista's Filipino.
Told you they're thick.
Filipino or partial
And Bruno
Filipino
Mars.
And
descent.
Vanessa Hudgens.
And Enrique Iglesias.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can see there's lots of American Filipinos. Those two get along pretty tight.
We'll explain more on how that happened in... Because of the
Friend
long
zone.
history in the Philippines being colonized by 2 major Western powerhouses, it would make sense that it would have ties with the outside world in many different ways.
For friends, the Philippines is generally close with all the ASEAN nations and does great business with them, particularly Indonesia and Malaysia, their closest neighbors.
The Marshall Islands, Palau, and the federal states of Micronesia are all cousin countries, many of which have Filipino migrants in them, and they all share the same history of being former U.S. territories and U.S.-influenced states.
Of course, Spain will always be in the
I
back
didn't know
of their
any of
minds
this.
as the
I
former
didn't either.
colonizer that they gained much influence from. Although Filipinos are not considered Latino, the Spanish and many Latin Americans kind of see them as like the adopted Asians that totally fit in their family. It's like, come on, you're Catholic, you eat flan, every 5th word you speak is Spanish, you're basically one of us.
Interestingly enough, the relationship with Mexico has historically been always strong. The Philippines was ruled under a Mexico-based viceroyalty of New Spain. The Manila galleons were Spanish trading ships, which for 2.5 centuries linked the Philippines with Mexico across the Pacific Ocean, making 1 or 2 round
Maybe that's why I like Filipinos. Because they're basically Mexican.
Yeah.
trip voyages per year between the ports of Acapulco and Manila. And Mexican traditions were brought in like the Day of the Dead and Champorado.
When it comes to their best
Dia
friends,
de
however, most
Muerte.
Filipinos would probably say, even though colonial years were a little bit bumpy, ultimately the USA and South Korea.
South Korea was one of their closest best friends from the 20th century on. World War II really bonded with them after the Japanese occupation years, and they supported each other diplomatically.
Koreans are the top #1 tourist demographic that visit the Philippines. Koreans kind of admire the fact that even though they were both influenced by the US, Filipinos speak better English, whereas Filipinos practically obsess over Korean products and media.
Us.
That's why we're...
For the
So I
USA,
guess
ties
he
were
is
closed ever since
Korean.
they became their colony
Yeah.
in 1898. The US also had the largest number of overseas Filipinos at over 4 million, most of whom live on the West Coast states like Hawaii and California. They are one of the oldest Asian partners of the US. They have a mutual defense treaty, and they are the largest export partner and second largest import after China.
American pop
Really?
culture dominates much of the youth influence. Hollywood studios love filming there, and Gallup polls have shown that the USA is favored on average by over 90% of the people asked, making it one of the most pro-American countries on the planet. And Ken, you take the conclusion.
In conclusion, if you enter a room full of Asians, you definitely know who the Filipinos are. While everyone's so uptight, we're the ones singing karaoke and somersaulting. You could just feel the energy of a Filipino. There's a touch of Latin flavor with American pop undertones. But in the end, no matter what island, you're immediately considered part of the Pinoy family.
Ken, you're one of my best friends. I love you, man. I'm so proud of you.
Thanks. Stay tuned. Poland, it's coming up next.
That's awesome. That was a bunch of stuff that I had no idea about.
That was like 99.999% of things I didn't know about. Outside of like they've won a bunch of Miss what is it? Miss Galaxy?
Miss Universe.
Yeah,
or
Miss
something.
Universe.
This is definitely something I'm gonna have to rewatch just because it shoots off so fast.
Yes.
But I mean, to retain it, but
So I could Google it, but y'all know me. I'm not going to Google it if I can have a conversation with the locals. So down in the comments, they didn't really specify who's the ruler or how the politics are there. As far as, because they did say it was a monarch or like a dictatorship at one point. Is it now back to a democratic system? Do y'all do presidents or do y'all do what's it called? Parliamental type stuff, or do y'all have a monarchy? What's the situation now? Obviously, I don't think y'all have a monarchy because y'all haven't had one in the past. So yeah, let me know down in the description below.
yeah, like I said,
Not the description, but the comments below.
I'm gonna rewatch this to try and retain a lot of this information, but it was very informative. So
It was. So if you're still watching, you're crazy, and we love you for that. So if you are still watching, for that matter, go ahead and subscribe, because that means you actually enjoy our content. And then go ahead and smash that like button, because again, you like this. If you're still watching, you're crazy. And if you can help us out, hit the join button. And with that being said,
my name is Miles,
and my name is Fez.
thanks for watching, guys.
Peace.
Out.